Hello, SWJR. I don't know what those initials stand for. Thank you for your nice message at the forum about Thoreau. I first met Thoreau, so to speak, when I was in high school, and one of my teachers, I had read a Jack London story. I don't remember which one. I don't think it was the one about getting cold. Maybe it was the one about the dog. Anyway, I was in high school, and I told my teacher how much I liked that Jack London story. She said, "Well, you like that? You might like this guy Thoreau." So she turned me on to it, and I was a terrible student. So so I really appreciate the fact that she made an effort towards me. She turned me on to it. We went down to the library and picked it out. She actually went so far as to help me to get it, and I grabbed it, and it was indecipherable. It was indiscernible to me at first. The language, the mass of men lead lives of quiet desperation. What they call resignation is confirmed desperation. From the desperate city, they go to the desperate country and must console themselves with the bravery of minks and muskrats. I mean, who speaks like that? I was a 16-year-old or 15-year-old. I was a sophomore, so I must have been about 15, 16, something like that. And American kid, growing up in the 70s, nobody talked like that. Yet and his paragraphs, his sentences were so long. Paragraph-length sentences at times. And the writing was so dense. There was indecipherable to me at first. So there was something in it that really caught me. So I went and got a dictionary, and I sat, and I resolved that I wasn't going to miss anything. So I started reading it, and I had the dictionary there, and there were so many big words that I never knew that I'm really grateful for the exercise that I did, because they taught me a lot of really useful vocabulary. And more than that, the ideas that were surrounded those words. Because sometimes big words, and I'm hesitant to use big words, antique words, because there's nothing more disenchanting maybe than to have an interesting discourse suddenly be waylaid by a word that you just don't know, and it kind of ruins it, and takes away the spell. I was just doing that this morning. Well, no, not really. I was listening to a podcast, and it was written by a 19th century author, and he was using a lot of big words, and now I had to kept running to Google to look it up. Because I didn't know what they meant, but it interrupted the process, right? But it was worthwhile. So anyway, even though I learned those things, they help me because I have those words in my head. I don't use them very much. So anyway, that started my love affair with Thoreau, and I kept Walden with me at all times. I've gone through at least 2 or 3 copies of it, wore them to tatters, hitchhiked around the country, United States and Canada, with a copy of Walden in my backpack. Read it by my campfire in the woods in the middle of nowhere, and I've had it always with me, or nearby at least. And there you go. I hope you find it interesting as well. I really recommend Walden. Some of his political stuff, civil disobedience, is very influential. A Week on the Concord and Merrimack rivers. That's an interesting read. But Walden by far is amazing. And if you find that interesting, extend on to Ralph Waldo Emerson. Who was a mentor of Thoreau's. I don't find his writing as quite as engaging as Thoreau's, but very, very beautiful, very amazing. Part of that whole transcendental philosophy, which is one that sometimes people might think if they hear me talk, and especially now, that I'm working on the concept of the path of wildness, they might mistake me for a transcendentalist, but I'm not. Definitely not. Because I don't. There's nothing spiritual about anything that I do. So that's where Thoreau and Emerson might have felt that there was something, or might have believed that they were approaching something, the numinous, whatever it is. Something spiritual, something godlike, something in some sentience out there through their walks in the woods. I don't abide that. I've spent so much time in the woods, and to me, there's nothing spiritual out there at all. At least if it's out there, it sure is. It's not apparent. It's not making itself very, very clear. So there you go. So I'm not a transcendentalist, but I certainly am a fan. Hope you enjoy it. Take care, friend. Bye bye.